My name is Jasmin Redl. I attended the module Meta Architecture at ATTP in 2020. And I'm presenting my work for the course Substitute, which resulted in a surreal play that I called Theatre of Body Parts. In the course, we have been working on and reflecting on a text of Gertrude Stein, which is called A Box. And it was very interesting to see how all the students in the course developed their own unique approach to the text in the process of the course. And so, yeah, it very quickly became one of my favorite courses. I chose to create a play because of the possibility of containing and speaking in multiple voices. And it also kind of just happened to me in the process of writing because I like this collage-like approach. So the play is kind of like a fragmented universe of riddles, which have more than one solution. And as a surreal play, it does not really make much sense in a consistent or linear way, but it's rather circling dreamlike around something that is inconceivable. And taking something that is already there and some thoughts that already have been thought or some material that already has been created by someone else, and then take it and then cut it into bits and pieces and then and be inspired by it and then create something of your own and create many different variations also if you look at it from a bigger perspective. We are trained in architecture to consider all the different parts of a building and look at all the different parts separately and design them separately, but then you also always have to have this picture and this vision of the whole building and how everything is connected and how everything influences each other and all of these the interconnectedness of everything with everything else. So, and I feel like the play, it was very similar to write the play for me. And so I feel like, my writing has been very influenced by my studies of architecture, because I already loved to write and wrote a lot when I was younger and before I started studying architecture. But I feel like it definitely made me approach writing differently, yeah. And then also my interest in music, of course, also developed this, and especially these notions of reinterpreting and of layering also, creating different layers that then create a whole composition only in relation to each other. And it reminded me a lot of electronic music, and because I'm a bit into DJing and electronic music production, and I feel it's kind of a similar approach, but in terms of literature. And yeah, every time I wrote something, it was very intuitive, and I just dived into this, tunnel of emotions. And and then afterwards, I tried to make very conscious decisions about how I arrange everything. But it was really hard, because then I also felt a lot of the time, I felt like, no, this doesn't really make any sense, or like also I'm always having problems with then afterwards, like not, I don't know, still liking it in a way, because it speaks to me, and I feel like there's something in it, but then also not being fully satisfied with how I expressed it and being very self-critical. And so, I really liked your question about perfectionism and perfectionism, and if it's rather something positive or negative. And I feel like it's both. And sometimes it really stands in my way, or a lot of the time, especially if you're in a framework like university and where you should do things really fast and very efficiently. But then in another way, I feel like it's also my strength because I like to look at things in a very detailed way and to not be satisfied with the first solution, but to go deeper. And yeah, that's something I like, and I wouldn't want to change it. I really like theory, and a lot of the time I feel more at home in it than I do in just the practical area of architecture. But I also feel that the two can really profit from each other, and that the way we create architecture would probably benefit a lot if there would be more space and more room to explore theoretical questions for all the architecture students, and if this could take a bigger place, because it's so important how we shape our environment. And yeah, I feel there's much more room to grow. And I mean, of course, it's also difficult because in architecture we already have so many things we have to learn. It's such a huge field with so many different disciplines and areas where you have to get expertise to some extent. And so, yeah, it's a struggle, of course, but I feel like philosophy and theory should not be neglected in architecture.
Theater of body parts. Prologue. Body introduces its parts. This is my nose, and this is my ear, and this is my other ear, and this is my mouth. Those are my teeth. I have plenty, and not one is missing. Those are my eyes. I have never seen any of them for real. I have never seen how they actually look. Can you imagine? I can only touch them with my fingers. Those are my fingers, by the way, and my eyes can have a look at them in the mirror. I think I know how they look, but actually I don't. To be honest, I'm not the one that thinks. I have my head, home of my brain, to do that for me. My fingers, on the other hand, I can see clearly, as well as my feet and my belly button. My fingers and my toes are inhabited by my nails. It is nice that all of these parts have their own individual names, even though they all belong to me. We are not fragmented, we are not separated, we are one whole. It would be very strange if any of my parts, or all, decided to wander off on their own. Very strange indeed. We have been together our whole life. We have the same mother, the same father, same origin. We were born together. We belong together. Act 1. Parts. N. A nose is a nose is a nose. Sometime, anytime. A room with a floor, a ceiling, wall on each side, one window, one door. I know that I am a nose, but sometimes I'm called an ear, or even a mouth. It is very confusing not to know one's own identity. I think I knew that I was a nose once, but now I'm not so sure anymore. V. Vigor. Before now, in the same room as before, legs lying somewhere on the floor. Do you know where our feet are? I cannot find my foot anymore. Can you feel yours? Strange. Now that you mention it, no. Haven't felt that one in a while. We have to do something. Find out where those two wandered off to all by themselves. Who knows what could happen to them? Yeah, you're right. I'm really tired though. Why don't we look for them later? What if something happened to them? Something bad? We have to do something now. Make at least sure that they are okay. I feel so weak. I can't move. Can you? No. Something is pushing and pulling me to the ground. Me too. Hey, are you still there? We have to do something. We have to move. But we can't move. We have to at least try. Pause. Hey, wake up! What's the point? I don't feel well at all. Is there anyone else who might be able to do something still? First there was this tickling sensation, then this leaden fatigue came over me, and now I don't feel anything. I think I'm going to faint. Silence. G. Gravity. Now, in the same room as before, Torso is lying on the floor in the center of the room, all alone, and is very upset. How could this happen? I don't understand. Where did they go? Why did they all leave me here all alone in this freaking mess? I cannot find any of my parts. How could they leave me? We have been together our whole life. We have the same mother, the same father, the same origin. We were born together. We used to share the same skin, the same flesh and bones that used to connect. We had a structure that used to make sure we couldn't fall apart. I don't understand. I don't understand this. Hey, you! Please help me, please! I beg you! Help! Can anybody, any part help me, please? Entrance head rolling across the floor with eyes wide open and a huge smile on its face. I feel so light. Suddenly, it's like being on a holiday. I've never ever been on a holiday before. I feel amazing. I've always wanted to experience the world differently. I've wanted to explore and wander about, but they wouldn't let me. And I had to think and work for everybody the whole day, every day, because everybody is plain simple and somewhat stupid. Sorry for my openness. I don't mean to be mean, but they cannot think for themselves. I always had to do it for them, look after everybody, make sure that everybody is okay all the time. Of course, they tend to get themselves into trouble more often than not. Is it my fault? Certainly not. I always tell them to be more careful. I am suspicious. I don't trust lightly. However, I cannot know everything. Sometimes there are forces way beyond my power, way beyond the power of all my parts too. It's not their fault when they get attacked by monsters either. All I'm saying is that you cannot blame me for not knowing better and not telling everybody to stay away from the monsters, because monsters don't tend to reveal their true natures openly and honestly. Some of them are quite sneaky and good at disguising themselves as purely harmless. They are born shapeshifters. They have many names, and they call you by many names too. I'm still very young. How should I have known better? Enough of this. It gives me a headache. I need to be free. Finally free of these earthly bounds. No regrets or nostalgia for all the parts I have left behind. I can stroll around as long as I want and roll wherever I please. Act 2. Clues. C. Cause and effect. Later. The same room as before. All kinds of body parts lying around the room, separated from each other. A small team of crime scene investigators is occupied with securing and documenting evidence, taking pictures, and so on. Schrödinger and Ludwig are among them. They are wearing White bodysuits. The inspector enters the scene in a classical outfit, trench coat and hat. What do we know so far? Not much. I've never seen anything like it. Who could have done something like this? Every part is neatly separated from every other part. It's madness. There's no blood. Yes, that is very strange. Very strange indeed. Any possible explanation? None at the moment. We're completely in the dark. It seems impossible. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would not believe it. At first glance, it looks like some kind of explosion, like some force of nature took over here, but the parts are way too neatly cut. Someone must have done this. Possibly, probably. Any traces that someone might have left behind? Seems like he cleaned up everything perfectly. So far we have nothing. What do we know about the body? The body? Well, the parts. You know, that used to belong to a body. They belong to a female human body, and we know that she does not bleed, apparently. If she's human, she bleeds. She has to be human because her parts look a hell of a lot like human parts. I just hope they won't come magically alive again at some point. And search for each other like in some zombie apocalypse horror movie. Wouldn't really surprise me, strange as this is already. E. Disentangle. A bit later, the same room as before. There are many boxes in different shapes and sizes. The inspector, Schrödinger, Ludwig, and their team of crime scene investigators are collecting all the body parts, putting them into separate boxes according to shape and size. Schrödinger is sealing the boxes while the inspector is naming, labeling them. Come on, we're nearly finished. This place has to be cleaned up so we can call it a day. Today has been long enough already. I'm tired. I never thought a human being could have so many parts, and so many different ones too. Ludwig seems to be slightly absent while talking to Schrödinger and keeps staring at his own hand, as if he was hiding or keeping something in it. Neither did I. Human beings are quite interesting creatures, if you say so. Right now I have seen enough details of the human body for days or weeks probably. All I want right now is to lock myself up and be as far away from any other body, human or not, as I possibly can. X, a box wrongly named. Shortly afterwards, a room full of boxes in different sizes. Some are as large as being able to fit a human body inside. Others are quite small, like jewelry boxes. Ludwig is manically going through boxes. Enter the inspector and Schrödinger. What are you doing? We've just finished cleaning up and now you're making a huge mess again. If you're looking for Kurt, try the hardship box over there. I cannot remember where I put it. Where you put what? What? I'm looking for a beetle. What does it look like? You'll know when you see it. I'm sure I put it in one of these little ones. No, this is a little toe. Let us help you. The inspector and Schrödinger join Ludwig. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Oh, but this one is marked with an X. Strange. Why would it be marked with an X? Pretty sure I didn't do it. Maybe this is the one. Oh, in this one there is a body. Like a beetle body? No, it's not human though. It has fur, black fur. Looks like a cat, a dead cat, to be more specific. There is also a broken bottle and a hammer attached to some kind of detector. Schrödinger. Suddenly turning pale, running to the inspector's side. Are you sure she is dead? Let me see. Pretty sure it's dead. Oh. No. Why did you open the box? When I put her in there, she was full of life. I didn't mean to kill her. I only wanted to prove my point. She was supposed to live forever inside the box. Meanwhile, Ludwig has been unaware what has been going on and is holding up a small empty jewelry box while talking to himself. I'm sure I put it in this box. I'm so sure that's where I put it. I saw it with my own eyes, I swear. I know it was there, and now it is not. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have put her in the box. What a wild, beautiful creature she was. I can't believe she really is gone. How I miss fondling her silky fur, being caressed by her gentle purr. You know, how she could walk a room so elegantly, without making the slightest noise, being in perfect control of her body, her pointed claws carefully tucked away, her tail gently moving from side to side like a snake moves. She could be quite a brat too. Sometimes she would hide somewhere and ambush you out of the blue. In those moments, she would not withdraw her claws. On the contrary, she would dig them right into the flesh, making you scream in shock and in pain. I used to hate when she did that. Now it makes me laugh. It was her way of being funny. Why did I put her in the box? I was curious, and I knew she would stay alive as long as the box was being kept tightly shut. Maybe you should have cut some holes into the box, and let her breathe a little. You don't get it. In order for my experiment to work, well, maybe you shouldn't have experimented on something you love so much. You opened the box. It's your fault. She would still be alive if the box would have stayed shut. Well, at least part of her. That was the whole point of my experiment, the point I proved. Are you insane? I'm sure she was long dead before I opened the box. Can you prove that? You can't. You are right, well, partly right, and you are wrong at the same time, and I am too, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. I just wish you wouldn't have opened that box. I didn't even know the cat was in there. You better don't let one of your special boxes lie around a place like this. I don't care. You killed her. You ruined everything, you nosy bastard. Don't talk to me like that. Let's take a moment to calm down. Clearly, you are in pain. Ludwig lets out a small ecstatic scream, turns around, and finally looks at the other two. Found it! Now I remember why I kept it safe. How could I ever forget? I'm getting old, it seems. Shut up! Act 3. Unboxing. S. Silence. A different time, a different room, one window, two doors. Pandora, not dressed up as inspector, with hat and coat, but as a woman in an elegant dress. She is sitting on a chair in front of a dressing table, attached to a large mirror with her back turned to the audience, but we can see her front and her face in the mirror. She puts on bright red lipstick, and when she's finished, she looks at herself in the mirror from different angles. Finally satisfied, her eyes get caught by a blue box that appears to be like a box where one would keep her jewelry. The box is situated on the table between her and the mirror. It is tightly shut. Pandora keeps staring at it, like she cannot take her eyes off of it. I always wonder what could be inside this box, and why you wouldn't want me to uncover it. Can it be that bad? Maybe it is quite the opposite, and there is a world of wonders undercover. What would be so precious you wouldn't want me or any soul to see? Ever. Sometimes I like to imagine that there could be a whole world of its own inside the box. What would it be like? Would it be as blue as it's outside? A whole blue world of blue. Or maybe it is not blue inside at all. Maybe it is all red. Or maybe it is screaming in all the different colors there are. A world so glaring and delicate and brimming with gems no one has ever laid eyes upon. There might be cosmic-scale jewelry inside, like mountains of rare rocks abounding in unfamiliar lands yet undiscovered and riddles left unsolved. What if there was horrendous beauty inside, a beauty so immense that the eyes cannot bear to see it? I wish I could open it, to take one tiny glance. One little peek would be enough. And then to close it forever. One little peek can't hurt, could it? It can't be that bad to want to know. No, I shouldn't be nosy. I know. Leave the unknown to itself. I don't want to know. And even if I did, there is no way I could possibly open the box. It is so tightly shut, and I don't remember where I put the key. I hid it somewhere to keep me from opening the box because I knew I would be tempted. It's better this way. It's none of my business. He specifically told me not to open it. Never, ever. Not under any circumstances, he told me. And I really wouldn't want to make him angry at me. He can be quite cyclonic when he's angry. Only why would he give a box to me if he didn't want me to look at whatever is hidden inside? Maybe you want me to know. Maybe you were not being serious. Maybe you were teasing me and this is some kind of game to you? You probably want me to lose my head over this, to spiral, move in circles, never get anywhere, and the worst thing, it works. It makes me angry. You win, okay? Enough of this. This is pathetic. I'm pathetic. I don't want anything to do with this stupid box of yours. She gets up, takes her purse. A small purse that fits with her dress, one with a long, fine carrying strap. That has been hanging on the back of the chair, and after one last look at her picture in the mirror, she picks up the coat and the hat from the clothes stand, the same ones she is wearing as inspector, and after putting them on, she leaves the room. N. Noise. Later. The same room as in the last scene. Pandora entering the room, dressed the same way she left it. She takes off her hat, puts it on the clothes stand where it has been during the last scene, extracts herself from the coat, and puts it back as well. Underneath, she is wearing the same dress, and over her shoulder there is the same purse as before. She looks tired. Her makeup is a little worn out. She hangs the purse on the back of the chair exactly where it has been during the last fragment, before she left. She sits down on the chair, looks at herself in the mirror, and before she starts taking her makeup off, her eyes get caught by the box again. This time the box is not silent. It is whispering in several different voices. Pandora is puzzled. She does not know that eyes, mouth, nose, ear, belly button, and other body parts are locked inside the box. Pandora takes the box into her hands and tries to understand what the voices say. Pandora, let us out. We need to see. It is pitch black dark in here, and our whole purpose is to see. The others are privileged. They can still do what they are supposed to do. We, on the other hand, cannot do anything. Our existence has become utterly pointless. Privileged. You should be glad and thankful you cannot smell cigarettes. What a privilege, indeed, to smell nothing other than cigarettes, and sometimes, when I get very lucky, a distant hint of the wooden walls of the stuffy box. It is not much, but it is something. We'd rather see cigarettes for the rest of our lives than, I'm hungry. I want something to taste and eat. I'm so hungry to feel something other than the hardness that is bounding this box. Pandora, can you hear me? There is nothing I hate more than the feeling of having to speak against a wall. Pandora, are you there? Yes, Pandora, give us something to bite on. Stop screaming and whining. You're way too loud. You're hurting me. Get a grip on yourselves. Pandora, I cannot hear anything other than the unbearable loud echo of their whining as well as my own. It is impossible to be locked in here with them. It is enough for anyone to go mad inside, I swear. Pandora, let us out. Release us. I know you can. You have the key that can open the box. I don't have the key. Even if I wanted to open the box and let you out, I couldn't. I don't know where it is. I'm sure you do. Search for it and release us. Release us. Make us see something. Anything is better than this void of nothingness. Release us. You hold the key. You always did. No, I don't. She puts down the box and opens her hands in order for the audience to see in the mirror that they are empty. See? You know we cannot see in here. I'm sorry. There is nothing I can do to help you. Pandora, you are the only one who can help us. You are the key, the only one who can put an end to our suffering. Release us. How can I be the key? I don't understand anything you tell me. This is utterly pointless. Just leave me alone with this nonsense of yours. She finally starts to remove her makeup with the intention of ignoring the whispering that is still coming from the box. How about you look inside your purse? Pandora pauses. In spite of the obvious frustration that is shown on her face, she takes her purse and, much to her surprise, finds a key in it. She drops the purse and looks at the key in her hand with curiosity and fascination. How did this get in here? Strange. It does not matter. You know what you have to do. Release us, quick. It's not the key for the box. It's far too big. I wonder what it is for. To open. I figured, genius. With the key in her hand, she gets up, scans the room, and stops when her gaze falls upon the door in the back, not the one through which she entered the room. She walks towards it, puts the key inside the lock, and surprisingly it fits. As soon as she opens the door, she's buried under boxes in all sizes and shapes, falling towards her as the small storage room behind the door has been stuffed with them from floor to ceiling. Cursing but unhurt, she untangles herself from the boxes, gets up, and stares at the mess. A babushka doll that looks like herself came out of one of the boxes through the fall. Very puzzled, she opens the dolls one by one, and when she opens the smallest one, a beetle escapes from inside. It flies over to the box that is locked, and when it touches the lock, the box flies open with a loud click, and the beetle disappears somewhere out of sight. Zero ground. The same room, lit by blue light, but not a lot, still very dark. An ear is not an ear, but a nose, and a belly button is a mouth, and a mouth is something different too. They all require to be kissed, though. That is the only rule that is understood, because the confusion gets only bigger when all the names are changing all the time, and you can never be sure which belongs to which with names and body parts. Blue light turns red. Why? Oh, why? Why is the floor so hard? Skin and bones beneath are crashing with the floor in every tiny bit of every moment, like an everlasting explosion. Red slowly turns into white light. Cigarettes are established by length and by doubling. We cannot know what this is. Its otherness is revealing. Cigarettes are established by length and by doubling. Their sameness is revealing. We cannot know what it is. It is covered by its otherness. Yellow, slowly turning into white again. Winged. To be winged means that white is black, and pieces that are shattered, stick together out of habit when the pain stops and the glue is coming off, while some of them are lost forever. Then it is choice to say it is dead or alive. A box is separation. Light flickers and goes out for moments, then on again. Everything looks so strange now. The whole world seems to be upside down, and everything has lost its name. We see shapes and lines and colors around us, but we cannot remember how they were called. The things have lost their names. Even the colors have lost their names and seem different, have some different, intense quality about them, and the tiniest line, the tiniest hole, the tiniest scratch, the tiniest error in the fabric that surrounds it amounts to the importance of the whole world, as if there was nothing else. Us, and that wrinkle on the wall, that's all there is. That's it. The room goes dark again. And then you are falling into a void of absolute nothingness, all thoughts erasing themselves. It feels like turning mad. You are falling, and nothing is catching you except the sick ache in your belly. The world is going black. Inside the box, there is a monster, like a monster from a bad dream, like a monster that you would have been afraid of when you were a little kid. The monster makes jokes. It is nice and cute sometimes. Make no mistakes, it will eat you afterwards. Inside the box, there is a dark void, like a black hole of forgetting. It eats everything up. It eats thoughts, it eats memories, it eats words, until there's nothing left you can say. Act 4. Odds. F. Flake. In the dark. Ear, nose, belly, button, mouth. All the names are changing all the time. Why is the floor so hard? Every tiny bit of every everlasting explosion. Cigarettes, cigarettes. We cannot know what it is. It is covered by its otherness. White is black, and pieces out of habit choice to say it is dead or alive. Everything has lost shapes, lines, colors that wrinkle on the wall. That's it. Like a monster from a bad dream, like a monster. Make no mistakes. Black hole eats everything. It eats, it eats, it eats words until there's nothing left. Why? Hope and expectation. Later, in the same room as before, the boxes that fell out of the storage room lying around in an unorderly manner. Here and there some body parts that fell out of their boxes among them. Amidst all the boxes there is a box that is marked with an X. While the inspector is occupied with organizing the boxes and stuffing them back inside the storage room, from inside the marked box suddenly comes a small meow. The inspector is startled and pauses. Another meow comes from inside the box. The inspector slowly starts walking towards it, not sure if she heard right or if she might be imagining things. Hello there. Silence. The inspector walks back and continues cleaning up and rearranging the other boxes and sealing them with tape until a third meow comes from the mystery box. She pauses again and waits. Nothing. Slightly shaking her head, she continues until she hears the fourth meow. This time she decidedly puts away the tape and the pen she was writing with, moves towards the box. She then carefully pulls off the blue tape that is holding the box tightly shut and starts opening it slowly. A black cat appears, sticking her head out of the box once it has been opened wide enough, making cat noises, signaling she's pleased and purring gently while nestling her head against Pandora's hand. Finally, thank you. It was getting really stuffy in there. Somebody forgot to cut holes into the paper. I nearly suffocated. How can it be? Weren't you, dead? The cat jumps out of the box and walks away from the inspector, but stops in between and turns back to face the inspector one more time. Well, I was, but now I'm back. Didn't anybody tell you about the 9 lives of a cat? She wanders off the stage in the elegant and unimpressed manner of a cat without looking back anymore. The inspector still has a hard time to believe the actual reality of the scene unfolding in front of her eyes. Oh, sure, but I forgot. Don't go. I know someone who will be very happy when he sees you. He was so crushed by the thought he had killed you. Set. The staging of cutting. Even later, the same room, without boxes. In its center, there is the dressing table with the mirror we have seen before, but this time its side is turned towards the audience, so the audience cannot see the screen of the mirror from a perpendicular angle. The positions of the doors and the window have changed accordingly. The table is mirrored on the other side of the mirror, and there is one chair on each side, placed in front of the table. Pandora is sitting on one of them. The other one is empty. The cat enters the scene. She walks towards the mirror, passes the chair, and jumps onto the table where she sits in front of the mirror, looking at Pandora from the other side. The cat looks straight into Pandora's eyes, which is something cats usually do not do. Don't ever give up. Always keep your head up. And the most important rule of all, whatever you do, make sure to stay above the line. What line? What line? Did I say line? Oh dear, I forgot my lines. Sorry, I have to look them up. Silly me. I forgot. Anyway, what did you expect after all? I'm only a cat. What do I know, I don't know anything. Turning away from Pandora, the cat jumps from the table onto the chair, where she turns again and sits on it, while slowly transforming into a woman who looks like Pandora and is dressed in the exact same manner. While Pandora is taking her makeup off, the woman on the other side of the mirror is mirroring every movement of hers, except she is putting makeup on at the same time Pandora is taking hers off. When she's finished, Pandora turns herself into the magician by putting on the magician's coat and hat. The stage turns black. When the lights are turned on again, the mirror and the dressing table have disappeared. In their place there is another table, and on the table there is a large blue box, marked with an X. As large as it needs to be in order to nearly contain a human body, but not fit it entirely. The audience does not know that in reality the box is not only big enough, but twice as big. You are constantly shifting shapes. I try to catch you, hold you, know you, but I constantly fail. And every tiny glimpse of light brings me closer to the end of you and me in this together now. To know you is to kill you. How could I ever do such violence to you? The other woman gets inside the blue box on the table with only her head sticking out on one end and her feet on the other. The magician cuts her in half with two blades and separates the two parts of the box, performing the trick of the sawed-up virgin. The magician's assistant, quite obviously, is still alive, and her head seems to be fine, although her body has been cut apart through the middle. The voices of some body parts emerge from the other half of the box. The audience does not see them, so it can probably only guess who is saying what. Blood is rushing through us. We should be dripping. We should be losing it. We are fine. Nothing is happening to us. I don't feel fine. Of course not. You just have been cut in half. Now there's two of you. So have you. True. But we have always been many. We are used to it. We are not fine. The rushing blood is so loud and everything else is rather quiet. Something cannot be quite right. This is confusing. I thought I was a nose, but now I'm not so sure anymore. The magician continues performing her trick by putting the two halves of the box back together and removing the two blades from it. The magician's assistant slides out of the box as one whole, but the feet on the other side do not disappear at the same time. The magician and the magician's assistant don't seem to notice anything. They bow to the audience and leave the stage. Finally, the feet disappear into the box. Oh, here you are. I've been missing you. Where have you been all this time? What happened? I don't remember. It was very cold. I'm sorry. Why don't you ask the nails? Maybe they know something. Poor you. Don't worry. We'll get you heated up again. You'll see. Nails, what can you tell us about all of this? Nails whispering something. They say they are still crumbling. They say that they saw everything, but they won't tell me anything about it. They are too scared. The murder is not the illusion. The illusion is that there was no murder. The body sticks its head out of the box where the magician's assistant's head has been earlier, and before long, the whole body slides out of the box, as the magician's assistant did earlier. It touches its part as if to make sure that they are in the place where they are supposed to be. This is my nose, and this is my ear, and this is my other ear, and this is my mouth. Those are my teeth. I have plenty and not one is missing. Those are my eyes. I have never seen any of them for real. I've never seen how they actually look, can you imagine? I can only touch them with my fingers. Body closes its eyes and touches the eyelids with its fingers before it opens its eyes again and wiggles its fingers. I feel something, not much. A little less, it is enough. Those are my fingers, by the way. And my eyes can have a look at themselves in the mirror. I think I know how they look, but actually I don't. To be honest, I'm not the one that thinks. I have my head, home of my brain, to do that for me. My fingers, on the other hand, I can see clearly, as well as my feet and my belly button. My fingers and my toes are inhabited by my nails. It is nice that all of these parts have their own individual names, even though they all belong to me. We share the same skin, the same flesh and bones that connect. We have a structure that makes sure this whole mess won't fall apart. When you take a closer look, you'll see that under my skin there is a universe of cells fighting each other. It takes time and space to secure a love sentence. Epilogue, or the strange way of undoing what cannot be undone. Helpless Horus, how curious. The words that were to be left unsaid, processing, means dangerous possessing. How can you not be you? How can you ever want, to stop wanting and to end? To end is to be peacefully empty and free in your head and in your belly. When the pounding stops, the belly button is your savior because the head is sick of service. It has fallen off the body like a dead fruit. When the pounding stops, every part is asleep. There is silence. Pounding stopped. And now what? The pain has not gone away. It is still there like a burning, glimmering force of fire, eating away, insides, turned outside raw, like the skin is not there to protect any longer. You don't know if you are dead or alive. Circling out, you realize you never knew. What was once close is now distant. The past has stopped unveiling. It does not belong to you. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, I have been, some years ago, I have been briefly studying philosophy at the University of Vienna. And there I developed a big interest in rhetoric and in language theory and how it developed over time. And also an interest in in the ancient Greek language and how it influenced the way we think and perceive the world today. So yeah, it kind of seemed to be a perfect fit in to further dive into these interests and these topics and learn more about it. And what I especially liked about the approach of ATTP is that it's more open and I like the abductive way of approaching those topics and exploring them. And I feel like it's very productive in a way that I didn't encounter before, or I haven't encountered before. I think the courses at ATTP are of interest to any future architect or anyone who is interested in philosophy and also learning about the theoretical and philosophical background and framework of architecture, and explore different mediums in the process like creative writing and visual art as well. And I like the interdisciplinary approach and to explore the interconnectedness of theory in the fields of philosophy, language, rhetoric, literature, art, and mathematics and coding, which is kind of something that has been unique to me up to this point. And I feel it has been very nourishing to me. And I also think developing skills in these areas is valuable to future architects because we are trained to take on a great responsibility in shaping the environment. And I think in turn this has a great impact then on shaping our societies. And I've always been interested in space and architecture as a means of enablement, and so I think it's very important to develop the capacity to reflect on what you are creating and why.